When you think about our cities, the skylines, the infrastructure connecting everything, it all comes back to construction. It's absolutely fundamental.
It really is.
But step onto any construction site and, well, it's a complex world, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got massive machinery, people working way up high, intricate plans.
Yeah, huge amount of activity, often in tight spaces.
Yeah.
And a lot of potential hazards.
Exactly. So managing all that, keeping everyone safe and healthy, protecting the environment, it's not just a nice to have, it's critical. It's a massive ongoing challenge.
Absolutely paramount.
So in a field with these inherent risks, how do you actually recognize excellence? How do you encourage companies and individuals, too, to go beyond just the basic requirements?
Right. How do you shine a light on those really setting the standard?
Yeah, the ones truly elevating safety, health, and environmental practices.
Well, that's where specific initiatives come in, programs designed to foster and, celebrate that kind of leadership. And for this deep dive, we're actually zoning in on a really interesting effort from Abu Dhabi, targeting its own construction sector, which is incredibly dynamic.
You got it. We're talking about the Golden Helmet Award today. It's now in its 4th edition, which tells you something about its staying power.
Yeah, it's becoming quite established.
And we've been digging into the source material official announcements, detailed FAQs from the organizers.
The actual documents laying it all out.
Exactly. To understand what this award is really about, who it's aimed at, and crucially, the very specific ways they define and measure excellence in EHS, environment, health, and safety.
That's the core focus, isn't it? EHS.
Purely EHS. So our mission today is to unpack all of that for you. We want to look at who's behind it, who can apply, and really get into the nitty-gritty of the criteria. What does it actually take, according to this award's framework, to be seen as outstanding in construction EHS in Abu Dhabi?
Okay, so who is the organizing body?
It's the Department of Municipalities and Transport, specifically through Abu Dhabi City Municipality. And even more specifically, it's their municipal services sector, the Environment, Health, and Safety Division.
Right, so it's coming directly from the municipal authority responsible for overseeing safety and standards.
Precisely. And their main goal, as they state it, is pretty clear. They want to encourage companies and individuals in construction to really push beyond just basic compliance.
To aim higher.
Yeah, to elevate their EHS practices to advanced standard and make sure everyone's hitting high compliance levels overall.
And what's really interesting, I think, is seeing this level of detailed focus coming from a city-level body. It's not just a broad industry award. It's very targeted with specific metrics, clear categories, evidence requirements. It feels like a serious commitment from the city itself.
To not just regulate, but actively incentivize.
Exactly. Incentivize and celebrate the creation of work environments that are demonstrably safer, healthier, and, more reassuring for everyone involved in building the city.
And it's that level of detail and the criteria that really caught our eye for this deep dive.
Yeah, that's where the substance is.
So let's jump right in. Let's start unpacking what the sources tell us.
Okay.
First things first, the practical stuff. If you're listening and you're in the construction sector in Abu Dhabi, what's the timing? Who can actually throw their hat in the ring?
Right. So according to the documents, the application window for this 4th round, it opened pretty recently, May 7th, 2025.
Okay.
And it closes on July 7th, 2025. So it's a neat 2-month window to get submissions in.
And how do they apply?
It's all done electronically. There's an official website, the sources give the link, where companies and individuals submit their entries.
Okay, straightforward enough. And eligibility. Who exactly can apply?
It's tightly focused. It's for the construction and contracting industry, but specifically those operating within the jurisdiction of Abu Dhabi City Municipality.
So geographically specific.
Yes. And it includes both the main contractors, the companies actually doing the building, and also the consultants involved in the projects. Right.
And importantly, it's not just about companies. They recognize that EHS excellence often comes down to key people. So individuals working in the sector can also apply in their own right.
That's good. Recognizing individual contributions, too. Yeah. So specific geography, Abu Dhabi City Municipality, and specific sector construction and contracting.
Right.
And you mentioned this earlier, but just to be absolutely clear, the award's focus is purely EHS, right? Nothing else.
100%. The source materials are very explicit about this. The entire basis, the pillars of the award, are exclusively about environment, health, and safety within the building and construction sector.
So they're not looking at, say, budget performance or how quickly the project finished?
No, none of that. It's purely about how well risks to people and the environment are managed on site. And that tight focus is what allows them to get so specific with the criteria. It enables a really rigorous evaluation of actual EHS performance. That makes sense. If you want to drive improvement in one specific area, you focus the recognition there. Okay, zooming out a bit then. Why does the municipality invest time and resources into this award? What are the bigger goals they're trying to achieve?
The sources lay out several aims, and they definitely seem connected. First off, fostering competition.
Oh, yeah.
Creating this platform for recognition naturally encourages companies and individuals to, compete to be the best, to strive for that top spot.
A bit of healthy rivalry.
Exactly. And that competition is meant to be a catalyst for the second goal, which is directly enhancing and developing EHS procedures, practices, and systems across the whole sector.
So if you want to win, you have to improve.
Precisely. You're incentivized to look at your own processes, find the gaps, and implement changes to meet or, ideally, beat the award's standards.
Okay, what else?
Strengthening partnerships with the private sector, that's another key aim.
How so?
Well, the municipality sets the rules and its specs, but they know the day-to-day EHS management happens within the companies on the ground. This award acts as a kind of collaborative platform. It recognizes shared goals and celebrates success together.
Right, working together towards better safety.
Yeah. And then there's promoting awareness and fostering a stronger EHS culture.
Getting the message out there?
Exactly. By publicizing the award, the criteria, the winners, they raise the profile of EHS. Make it a more visible priority for everyone in the industry and maybe even beyond.
And all of this leads to?
The ultimate outcome they're aiming for. Reducing accidents, occupational injuries, and property damage. That's the bottom line.
Great competition, the improved practices, the partnerships, the awareness. They're all tools to achieve that concrete goal of fewer incidents.
That's how it reads. It's about using the recognition as a lever to drive real-world improvements in safety outcomes, making construction sites safer places.
That's a powerful motivator. Okay, let's get into the structure then. How is the award actually organized? The sources mention 3 main categories.
That's right. It's broken down into 3 main buckets. The corporate category, the project category, and the individual category.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right? It lets them recognize excellence at different levels. You've got the company's overall approach, then performance on specific sites, and finally, the key people making it happen.
Let's tackle the corporate category first. This sounds like it's about the company as a whole, their systems and track record across all their work.
Exactly. This category is looking at the company's established EHS management systems, their procedures, their overall performance. Now, there are 4 specific subawards listed under this corporate banner in the sources.
Fair.
But there's a slight quirk in how the detailed criteria are presented in the FAQ document we reviewed.
Oh.
Yeah, the names of 2 subawards related to medium and small projects are listed under corporate, but the actual detailed criteria for them appear later in the document under the project category section.
Oh, okay. A bit confusing. So how should we handle that?
I think we should discuss the first 2 subawards listed under corporate now, as they clearly relate to the company's overall systems and practices. Then, when we get to the project category, we'll cover the criteria for the medium and small project awards, following the document structure for the details, even though their names popped up here.
Got it. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
So what are the 4 subaward names listed under corporate?
Okay, they are. Number 1, Best Performance in Occupational Health and Safety Management System.
Right.
Number 2, Best Practices in Environmental Health and Safety applied by the company.
Okay.
And then numbers 3 and 4 are the ones we just mentioned. Best Performance in Occupational Health and Safety Practices for medium-sized projects, and Best Performance for small projects.
Okay. So let's dive into number 1. Best Performance in Occupational Health and Safety Management System. What's involved in winning that? What do companies need to show?
Right. This is about the core system. The sources break it down into general and technical criteria. The general criteria are foundational. A company needs to have an approved safety and health management system. This approval can be based on the specific requirements within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi itself, or they need to meet the international standard, ISO 4501.2018.
ISO 45001, that's
Yeah.
the big international one for occupational health and safety management, right?
Exactly. It provides a framework for managing risks, preventing injuries, and ill health. Getting certified shows you have a systematic approach. So step 1 is having that formal, recognized system in place.
Okay, makes sense. What about the technical criteria? How do they judge the performance of that system?
This is where they really dig deep, using 5 specific pillars to evaluate how well the system is actually working over time.
5 pillars. Okay, what's the first one?
First up is audit. Performance here is judged by the number of major and minor nonconformities found during the company's last 2 annual audits.
Nonconformities. So where things weren't quite meeting the standard.
Precisely. And crucially, these audits have to be done by an external third party.
For objectivity.
Yes. So fewer nonconformities, or showing a reduction over those 2 years, indicates the system isn't just paper, it's effective and improving.
Okay, audit. What's pillar 2?
Inspection. This one directly measures compliance with local regulations. Performance is based on the number of EHS violations the company received from Abu Dhabi City Municipality ADM over the past 2 years.
So tickets from the regulator, basically.
Essentially, yes. Fewer violations mean better day-to-day compliance on their sites. Getting 0 over 2 years would be a very strong indicator.
Right. Pillar 3.
Accidents. This is obviously critical. It looks at the number of serious accidents within the company's operations over the past 2 years.
And how do they define serious?
The sources list. Fatality, lost time serious injuries, lost time serious occupational ill health, and dangerous occurrences.
Lost time injury, or LTI, that means an injury serious enough that the worker can't come back the next day, right?
That's the standard definition, yes. An injury preventing return to normal or modified duties on the next calendar day. So, minimizing these severe events, especially fatalities and LTIs, is fundamental proof the safety system is working to prevent harm.
Makes sense. Pillar 4.
Emergency management. This requires 2 things: having an implemented emergency procedure and evidence that they've actually conducted drills for specific high-risk scenarios.
Not just having a plan, but practicing it.
Exactly. And the scenarios listed are very relevant to construction. Fire, tower crane collapse, mobile crane toppling, falls from height, and importantly, heat stress incidents.
Heat stress, yeah, that's a big one in the region.
Definitely. So proving you've drilled for these specific, potentially catastrophic events shows real preparedness.
Okay, and the 5th and final pillar.
Training. Similar to emergencies, this requires both an implemented training procedure and proof of execution of the annual training plan or matrix.
Execution is key.
Absolutely. And the training has to cover health and safety for all levels of staff. The sources are specific here. For contractors, top management, technical staff like engineers and project managers, foremen, supervisors, and the workers/laborers.
So everyone.
Everyone. For consultants, it's top management, technical staff, and inspectors. It really emphasizes that safety culture needs to permeate the entire organization, from leadership setting the tone down to the frontline workers. And they need proof this training actually happened.
Wow. Okay, that first subaward is incredibly comprehensive. It looks at the system's foundation, its audits, compliance record, accident outcomes, emergency readiness, and training all over 2 years. Really thorough.
It really paints a detailed picture of a company's systemic EHS management.
All right, let's move to the second subaward listed under corporate. Best practices in environmental health and safety applied by the company. How is this one different? Sounds more specific.
It is. This one's about recognizing specific, maybe novel EHS initiatives or practices that a company has developed and put into action internally. It's less about the overall framework, more about spotlighting innovation.
Okay, so unique solutions.
Potentially, yes. The general criteria require a valid license, of course, but the key things are: the practice must adhere to best practices within that company. It should not have been previously applied elsewhere. And crucially, it must incorporate innovative and creative aspects.
So it has to be new, or at least a new application.
Seems that way. They're looking for something beyond standard industry stuff, something developed in-house.
Interesting. What about the technical criteria for this one?
The company needs to submit a detailed document describing the practice. It must highlight the innovation and creativity involved. Interestingly, the impact on society is also considered.
Beyond just the company's benefit.
Right. And another really key point: the practice should use internal resources and capabilities of the company's own people, their existing assets, without relying on external consultants or experts.
Oh, that really emphasizes self-sufficiency and building internal expertise.
Doesn't it? And finally, they need concrete, clear, objective, realistic evidence to back up the claimed benefits and outcomes. Hard proof. And the sources mention a site visit might be needed to verify everything.
So they want to see internally developed, innovative EHS solutions with proven positive impacts, ideally benefiting society too, and they want solid evidence.
That sums it up well. It encourages companies to be EHS problem solvers using their own steam.
That's a great way to foster that internal innovation culture. Okay, now let's address those other 2 subawards mentioned under corporate, the ones for medium and small projects. As you said, the source document details their criteria under the project category section.
Correct.
So let's transition now to the project category. This shifts the focus from the company overall to performance on specific construction sites, right?
Exactly. We're zooming in on individual projects now. And the sources, specifically the detailed FAQ, break this down by project size: mega, medium, and small.
Okay, let's start big. What are the criteria for best performance in safety and health management system for mega projects?
Right. The general criteria first define what qualifies as mega for this award. Project's got to be in Abu Dhabi City Municipality, naturally. The consultant needs to be top-tier classified in the first class. The main contractor can be in the second, third, or fourth class. They need evidence for these classifications, valid licenses, and certificates.
Okay, specific classifications required.
Yes. And the project timing must have started in 2022 and still be currently under construction. Active projects.
Right, and size.
Workforce size is key here. Between 100 and 400 workers on that specific project.
100 to 400 workers.
Okay.
Okay, so large active projects with highly classified participants. What about the technical criteria? What do they need to achieve?
This is where the bar gets incredibly high. First, inspection. No violations from ADM in the previous 2 years, 2021 and 2022. Zero.
Zero violations over 2 years on a mega project. Wow.
It's a huge ask. Plus, they need a documented plan for regular safety inspections on the project itself.
Okay, zero violations. What else?
Accidents. This is really demanding. No deaths or lost time injuries during those same 2 years, 2021 and 2022.
Zero fatalities, zero LTIs.
Correct. And on top of that, the project must have achieved a minimum of 5 million man-hours without any lost time injuries during that 2021-2022 period.
5 million safe man-hours. That's astronomical.
It really is. It signifies an extraordinary level of safety performance and culture on that specific site over a sustained period. It's a massive achievement if a project hits that.
Definitely sets a standard. What are the other technical criteria?
Welfare facilities. This shows they value the basics. Projects need adequate facilities, a proper rest area, air condition, protecting from sun and humidity.
Essential in that climate.
Absolutely. Also, firefighting gear, first aid boxes, proper restrooms, cold and clean drinking water. And crucially, they need a program for periodically inspecting these facilities to make sure they're clean, maintained, suitable. And they need the inspection reports as proof.
So managing the basics well is mandatory.
Seems so. And the last technical point for mega projects is HSE practitioner. They need a competent HSE officer, engineer, or supervisor full-time on the site.
Dedicated EHS presence.
Yes. With sufficient experience, the source actually leaves the years blank, interestingly, but they must hold a recognized professional qualification like NEBOSH or IOSH.
So qualified, full-time oversight on-site.
Exactly.
Okay, those mega project criteria are incredibly stringent.
Yeah.
Zero violations, zero serious accidents, that huge safe man-hour target, plus solid welfare and qualified staff. It's defining excellence through near-perfect outcomes.
Yeah, it really is.
Now let's move to medium projects.
Okay.
This is where the source document had that slight quirk with the worker count in the general criteria, right? Listing it the same as mega.
Yes, exactly. When you look at the general criteria listed for best performance of occupational safety and health practices for medium projects, they are word for word in the source document, identical to mega projects regarding location, consultant contractor class, start date status, and yes, the number of workers ranges from 100 to 400.
So the source document uses the same 100-400 worker range for both mega and medium project categories. That's counterintuitive based on the names.
It is a bit odd based purely on the labels mega and medium. There might be other internal factors the municipality uses for classification that aren't detailed, but strictly following the text of the criteria provided, that's the range listed for both.
Okay, well, we stick to what the source says. So acknowledging that overlap in the stated worker count, what are the technical criteria listed for these medium projects, 100-400 workers? How do they differ from mega?
They are similar in parts, but with some key differences or omissions based on the text.
Okay.
Inspection, same as mega. No violations from ADM in 2021-2022, and a periodic site safety inspection plan. Zero tolerance for violations remains.
Great.
Accidents also requires no deaths or lost time injuries during 2021-2022. So preventing severe incidents is still mandatory. However, that specific target of 5 million man-hours without LTI, which was explicit for mega.
Yes.
It's not listed as a technical criterion here for medium projects in the source document.
Oh, okay. So that's a major differentiator in the required outcome metrics between mega and medium according to the source text.
Seems to be yes. While 0 LTIs is required for both, the massive safe man-hour count appears specific to the Mega Award designation.
Interesting. What else for medium?
Training. The source lists a specific requirement here for implementing a training program for all workers on that specific project during 2021-2022.
So project-specific worker training, not just the company-wide system.
Exactly. It's singled out as a technical criterion at the project level for medium. Project Risk Register. This is another one listed explicitly for medium projects that wasn't detailed under Mega's technical list. They need an implemented risk register or assessment following standards, and it must be approved by both the consultant and the main contractor.
A fundamental safety tool, the risk register.
Absolutely. Identifying hazards, assessing risks, planning controls. Its specific mention here for medium underscores its importance.
Makes sense. Anything else?
Welfare facilities. Identical requirements as mega projects, the same list. Rest area, AC, fire gear, first aid, restrooms, water, and the periodic inspection program with reports.
So welfare standards are consistent across the board.
It appears so. Non-negotiable.
Okay, so medium projects, 100, 400 workers per the source, need 0 violations, 0 serious injuries, but no 5M man-hour target listed, plus project-specific worker training, an approved risk register, and the standard welfare facilities. A slightly different technical focus compared to Mega, despite that listed size overlap?
That captures the distinctions presented in the source document, yes.
Right. Let's move on to small projects then. The size definition seems more distinct here.
Yes, it does. For best performance of occupational safety and health practices for small projects, the general criteria define the size differently. Still needs to be an Abu Dhabi first-class consultant, second, third, fourth-class contractor, started 2022 under construction. But the number of workers must be not more than 50 workers.
Okay, under 50. That aligns better with small.
It does. And the technical criteria listed for these small projects are more streamlined, focusing on core fundamentals.
What are they?
2 main things listed. First, welfare facilities. Again, providing adequate facilities with the exact same detailed list as mega and medium rest area, AC, fire, first aid, restrooms, water, inspection program, reports.
Welfare is always key, regardless of size.
Seems to be the message. And second, inspection. Same requirement again. No violations from ADM during 2021-2022, and a periodic site safety inspection plan.
So for small projects, the focus is squarely on providing essential welfare and maintaining perfect regulatory compliance over 2 years.
That's what the listed technical criteria emphasize, yes. It's a more focused set of requirements compared to the larger projects, but achieving 0 violations and consistently maintaining those welfare standards on any site for 2 years is still a significant mark of good practice.
Absolutely. It scales the evaluation appropriately. Okay, that covers the project specifics. Let's move to the final main category, the individual category. This is where we celebrate the people driving safety, right?
Exactly. Shifting focus from the project or company to the person making a difference on the ground. And the sources note this category is split into 2, male professionals and female professionals.
Ensuring recognition for both men and women in the field.
Yes, with 1 winner selected for each group. The award is for the best safety, health, and environment performance shown by individuals working for contractors, consultants, or developers in Abu Dhabi's construction sector.
Okay. Who is eligible? What are the general criteria?
The individual must work for one of those eligible entities: contractor, consultant, developer in the Abu Dhabi construction sector. Proof required. And critically, their job has to be in the field of safety, health, and environment.
So specifically EHS roles?
Yes. The source lists examples like officer, supervisor, coordinator, engineer, or manager within the EHS function.
Got it. Not just anyone on site. What about the technical criteria? How do they assess individual performance? Is it metrics again?
No, it's quite different here. It's qualitative, based on a narrative submission. The core requirement is a text or narrative, no more than 700 words.
A written statement.
Exactly. In that narrative, the individual needs to showcase their achievements, their initiatives, contributions, projects, all related to EHS within their work. And they need to provide appropriate evidence to back up their claims.
Okay, what specific things should the narrative cover?
The sources give clear pointers. It should demonstrate how the individual helped to raise and enhance the EHS culture and awareness among employees in their company.
So influencing culture.
Yes. Also, their contributions to the management of risk and the environment.
Practical risk management.
Right. And crucially, how their work helped reduce or prevent the chances of accidents. This is where they can highlight specific actions and results.
Demonstrating tangible impact on safety outcomes.
Definitely. The narrative also needs to show how they participate, consult, and collaborate with different levels of employees. It shows they're not working in a silo.
Teamwork and engagement.
Exactly. And finally, how they inspire others through guiding, supporting, motivating, helping, providing solutions. It's about leadership and positive influence.
Going beyond the job description.
That seems to be the essence. And there's a practical requirement, too. An introductory page with their full name, official job title, confirmed by the company, and the company name.
That narrative approach for individuals is really insightful. It focuses on leadership qualities, influence, collaboration, and tangible impact, not just ticking boxes on a checklist.
It really does try to capture the human element of driving EHS excellence.
So with all these detailed criteria across corporate, project, and individual levels, how are the winners actually picked? Who makes the final call?
The sources mention it's based on these general and technical criteria we've been discussing, which the municipality has adopted. A specialized committee then reviews, analyzes, and evaluates all the submissions against these criteria.
So an expert panel judging against the standards.
That's what it implies, yes. A structured evaluation by people who know the field.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together then. We've looked at the purpose, the structure, the incredibly detailed criteria for companies, projects of different sizes, individuals. What's the overall message the municipality is sending with this Golden Helmet Award? What's the intended impact?
Well, fundamentally, it's a strong motivational tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
By recognizing and celebrating this high level of performance, it encourages companies and individuals to actively enhance their EHS game, to strive for more than just the minimum.
Setting a benchmark.
Exactly. And it promotes the adoption of best practices and high standards across the board. The criteria themselves almost act as a guide. This is what excellence looks like in our view.
A roadmap, in a way.
Yes, a roadmap.
Yeah.
And it also clearly aims to strengthen that partnership between the municipality and the private sector, working together towards safer construction sites.
Collaboration is key.
It seems to be a central theme. And the potential impact, the ripple effects, could be really significant.
Like what?
Well, most importantly, better working conditions and fewer people getting hurt or worse on construction sites. That's the human impact.
Reducing harm.
Absolutely. But also potentially higher quality work overall because well-managed sites for safety are often just better managed, period. And maybe even making the sector more attractive to talent, showing a real commitment to worker well-being.
Those are all positive potential outcomes. So connecting this back to you, our listener, why should someone, maybe not directly involved in applying for the award, care about understanding these criteria? What's the value?
That's a great question. I think understanding these specifics gives you a really clear, concrete insight into what a major city authority in a globally significant construction market defines as excellence in EHS. It's a benchmark definition.
So it tells you what good looks like, according to that.
Exactly. Whether you work in the sector yourself, maybe benchmarking your own company or career path, or you're a client hiring into construction firms and want to understand what differentiates the best performers, or even if you're just interested in how major infrastructure gets built safely. This framework provides that detailed look
into the specific standards and practices being rewarded.
Yes. You see the emphasis on robust management systems, on practical site implementation, on verified outcomes like zero incidents, and on the crucial role of individual leaders. It paints a picture of comprehensive EHS management.
So we've got a deep dive into this Golden Helmet Award. We've looked at its purpose, the different categories, those really specific criteria for companies, for mega, medium, and small projects, and for individuals, and the goals driving it all.
And it's clear this is structured recognition, grounded in measurable criteria, demanding evidence, and focused on real-world EHS outcomes. It definitely provides that roadmap we mentioned for anyone in Abu Dhabi's construction sector aiming for the top tier of safety performance.
It certainly does. And reflecting on the sheer level of detail, the focus on evidence, the multi-year perspective, it leaves you with a really interesting thought, doesn't it?
Yes. Here's something to chew on. Given how rigorous these criteria are, demanding specific evidence, focusing on objective outcomes like zero LTIs over millions of hours, how effective are award programs like this, even the really well-structured ones, at truly driving widespread, sustained change across an entire industry?
Right. Do they mainly just reward the companies and people who are already leaders, the top performers, or do they genuinely pull the middle performers up, shifting the whole sector's average?
That's the big question, isn't it? Is it recognition or is it transformation? Or maybe a bit of both?
Exactly. And taking a step further, what role do these kinds of highly structured, evidence-based EHS initiatives play in shaping future expectations and standards for construction safety, not just locally, but perhaps globally? Are they leading indicators or powerful drivers of that change?
Definitely something to ponder, especially as the industry keeps evolving worldwide.
Food for thought. Now, if you are listening and you're interested in the award itself, perhaps for your company or an individual, remember the application deadline is July 7th, 2025. You can find more details, the criteria documents we discussed, and the submission portal on the official website. Check the source links for that. Well, thanks for joining us as we unpack the standards behind the Golden Helmet Award.
Always fascinating to get into the specifics of what defines excellence in such a vital area.